Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching, my name is Angel Merino, but you can call me Mac Daddy. And in today's video, I'm gonna really take you guys through my process with my skin, my foundation, my highlight, my contour, essentially how to catfish the girls. I do have a round face and I get asked all the time, how do you contour your face? How do you do your foundation? And I find that like contouring is really like the one thing that just really kind of takes me from like 0 to 100. So I'm really gonna break it down, show you guys my tips, my tricks. I am gonna take you guys through how to really sculpt and shape your face. So if you wanna learn how to do that, make sure that you guys keep on watching. But before you do, don't be shady, be a lady. Subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss a beat, and let's get started. So I'm gonna start off with spraying a little bit of this MAC Fix Plus on my skin. Now, I love using this for a number of different things. I love to use it to like manipulate makeup throughout my makeup application, or just to kind of make my makeup feel a little bit more fresh, or just on bare skin, just, you know, kind of just zhuzh up the skin a little bit more. I'm also gonna go in with this MAC Strobe Cream, which I've been using for years. Just gonna take a little bit on the back of my hand and apply it all over my face. Now, what I love about Strobe Cream is that it is really super hydrating, but at the same time, it gives your skin like a really nice, like glowy finish so that your skin is nice and radiant before we even apply our foundation. All right, so now that we have that on, we can't forget about our eyes. So I'm gonna be going in with this NARS Total Replenishing Eye Cream. This is my jam. I've been using this forever, and it's just really great for the under eyes to make sure that they're nice and hydrated, and your concealer looks really nice and smooth. I feel like out of all products that people use, an eye cream is one that a lot of people don't use, and it makes such a difference when it comes to like your concealer and the way that your under eyes look. So don't forget about your under eyes, ladies and gentlemen. So now to prime my skin, I'm gonna be going in with this Smashbox Original Photo Finish Primer. I really love this because it is a little bit more of a silicone-based product, so it does allow my skin to just look smoother. It really helps to fill in any pores, any lines, any texture, and I really have noticed a difference with and without it, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a nice pore minimizing primer. Just really helps to give the skin a nice smooth finish, which is what we want. For my foundation, I'm gonna be going in with this NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. This has been my jam. I've been obsessed with this since I discovered it. I use the shade Valencia, which is a little bit more tan than my actual complexion, but don't judge me. I like looking a little bit more tan. I'm just gonna go in with the natural hair brush. We're gonna do a couple of pumps on the brush, and we're just gonna blend and buff this all over our skin. So now, I usually am a beauty blender girl. I love using a beauty blender, but as of lately, I've really been enjoying using a brush like this. But we will go back in with a beauty blender once it's all blended out. This Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation is $49 and is now available in 34 different shades. It's a medium to full buildable coverage, and it stays on for 16 hours. It's infused with raspberry, apple, and watermelon extracts that just really help to support, and it improves the texture of your skin as you wear the foundation. I honestly just really love the coverage that this foundation gives me, and I feel like it doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look too cakey, but it does give me the coverage that I want. And the texture is so nice, it's so lightweight, like it doesn't feel like you're wearing anything, and I feel like it literally looks like skin. Lift up the curls. I'm gonna get in here. Shout out to all the girls with the curls. I've really been enjoying rocking my natural curls lately, and you guys have been gassing me up so hard every time I rock them, so thank you for that. All right, so I don't normally always do this step. You guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, that the RCMA cream foundation has been like my holy grail for the longest time, but it is a really full coverage foundation, and I've been trying to, you know, kind of step away from that super full coverage look, even though I just always end up full coverage anyway. But I normally just do this whenever I have freshly shaved, like today, like I shaved today, so my skin's a little bit more red, or if I have like really bad breakouts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and layer in a little bit of my RCMA cream foundation with my beauty blender, but I'm only going to apply this like right in my cheeks where I want a little bit more coverage, which is typically around in the area where I shave. So I'm just gonna lightly just kind of stipple this on right in that area just to, you know, build a little bit more coverage. but this is pretty much like the only place I'm actually gonna take this foundation. All right, so I'm pretty happy with how this foundation is looking, how it's feeling. So we're gonna move on to concealer. Now, if you guys have been joining me on my Instagram lives, which I tend to go on pretty often, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you are at Mac_Daddy with 2 Y's. If you guys have been tuning in, you guys have been watching my little concealer trick that I've been sharing with the world because I've been so obsessed. I'm gonna be going in with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealers. I'm gonna be using 2 different shades, starting with this shade Custard, which is my go-to. It's like my holy grail concealer. I'm going to just take a little bit under my eye area first, just like so. Now, the many reasons why I'm obsessed with this concealer, one is because it's nice and lightweight. It's not super, super thick in texture. I don't really care for concealers that feel really thick or heavy or almost like that oily texture. Like these feel really, really nice and creamy, hence the name Radiant Creamy. But it does give me the coverage that I want. Like it really, really covers, and it really does make my eyes look really nice and fresh, like I've been sleeping for hours. I'm just gonna take this right in here. Now, where I really like to take it specifically for my face is kind of like more in here, like right in the center of my face. That's where I really like to create more of that brightness. So that's where we're really gonna focus more of this concealer first. Now, once we've applied it, I'm gonna go back in with my handy dandy beauty blender, and we're just gonna slightly just kind of start to stipple and blend this out. This Radiant Creamy Concealer is $30 and is now available in 30 different shades, with 8 shades launching exclusively at Sephora. This concealer has a special light diffusing technology, and it just really helps to create a smoother, softer look while helping get rid of your fine lines and dark circles. All right, so now that we have this concealer nice and blended out, looking just how we want it, I'm gonna go back in with a concealer that's actually a couple of shades lighter than what I would normally gravitate towards. This is, again, that Radiant Creamy Concealer, but this is in the shade Vanilla, and I like to just apply this like right in the center, like right in the crevice of my eye, just to almost give me like a little bit of a starburst of brightness, if you will. And it's something that I've been doing, and it really just has made my under eye area just look so much better, just so much more bright, just so much more snatched, if you will. So I'm lightly just kind of taking this right into this inner crevice right in there, and we're gonna blend that out. So you guys can see it really does help to give you like that nice gradient look from where it is a little bit brighter to just kind of, you know, a little bit more softer and a little bit more just seamless. So it's something that I love to do and that absolutely works for me. So I definitely recommend that you guys try it as well. All right, so now we're gonna move on to setting our under eye area and setting our face, essentially. I'm gonna be using this Lancome translucent setting powder. This is their Long Time No Shine powder. I've been using this baby for such a long time. I absolutely love it. I like to just kind of pour some of that product on the cap, and I just work off of here. Oh my God, you guys. You guys see this? It's literally almost empty. That's how you know I love a product. So Lancome, if you're watching, you know what to do, send me some more. So I'm just gonna go in with like a fluffy but still kind of dense brush, and I like to just press that setting powder, literally press it directly under my eye area, just like that. Just press, 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 press right in here. And I normally kind of layer on a couple of times just to make sure she's nice and set. She's not gonna crease. She's gonna stay put. Gonna do the same thing on the other side. So now that we've set our under eye area, I'm gonna go in with this big fluffy brush. This is the Sigma F30 brush. It's so luxurious, it feels so good, it's so nice and fluffy. And I'm just gonna dip into that cap with that product, and I literally just kind of press everywhere else, you know, that I haven't really set, just to make sure that everything's nice and locked in, nothing is moving, face is snatched and slayed. All right, I'm feeling good about this. Now, before we move on to bronzer, I'm just gonna spray a little bit of this MAC Fix Plus. Now, the reason I like spraying this kind of before bronzer is because it helps to take away any like powdery texture from the skin. It just kind of makes your skin look more like skin. I normally do this when I layer multiple products because it really does help make everything just kind of melt into one, and it just makes everything look nice and seamless and cohesive, and nobody wants to look dusty and dry. So moving on to contour, I'm gonna be going in with this MAC Mineralize Skinfinish bronzer in the shade medium tan. I'm gonna be using this small contour brush from Sigma. This is the F05 brush. I'm just gonna swirl into this, swirl into my bronzer, which I clearly also need more of. And we're just gonna start to buff this in our cheeks, on our cheeks. Buff it on our cheeks. So normally what I'll do is I'll kind of like pat it into place first, kind of right where I wanna really create that definition, and then I'll kind of buff it. This is the part where we begin to catfish. Okay, this is the part where we transform our face, we give it a little bit more structure. I personally have more of a rounder face, so I always kind of like to contour a little bit more diagonally, especially to really make my cheeks look a little bit higher and my jawline look a little bit more defined. I really like it to look like I have more hollows in my cheeks than I really do. So I kind of bring it diagonally in here and then kind of straight down in here. Almost as if I was sucking in my cheeks like this, like, and then I literally just kind of follow that. All right, so I'm feeling good about this side. We're gonna move on to the other side. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Gonna pick that bronzer up, pat it in place, and then we're gonna blend. It's done. We're gonna move on to the ultimate catfish. Now, this is where I find that my face really starts to take the shape that I want. So I'm gonna go back in with a lighter foundation. You can do this with a concealer. You can do this with a setting powder alone. I don't like to do this just with the setting powder because I find that it kind of creates like a little bit of a cast or like a gray shadow. So I like to really cancel it out with actually using like a concealer or a foundation. So I'm gonna go in with my RCMA cream foundation. This is a shade lighter than the one that I used earlier. I'm gonna pick it up with my beauty blender, and then we're gonna use this just to lightly start to under highlight and really kind of sculpt our cheeks. So you can see like it really, you literally are sculpting. And I'll take the bottom of my beauty blender and I'll kind of start to use it to really kind of start to like blend it and really kind of place it where I want it. And you guys can see, like I was trying to show you guys earlier, I really bring it like diagonally and then straight down. So once I apply it, we're gonna pick up a little bit more of that setting powder. I'm gonna go back in with that large Sigma brush and pick up some of that powder and just lightly start to just press it in that area. And we're just gonna let her simmer a little bit while we move on to the other cheek. Gonna do the exact same thing. Now, in order to achieve the ultimate catfish, you have to make sure that it's nice and symmetrical. So I always like to look in the mirror, make sure that one side isn't higher than the other, and just try to get it as even as possible. And again, going back in with our large Sigma brush, locking that catfish right into place. Now, obviously this is very defined, so I'm gonna let it simmer a little bit. Then we're gonna go back in and kind of blend out like the harsh line to make it look a little bit more natural. But before we do that, I'm gonna move on to contouring my nose just a little bit. So to contour my nose, I'm gonna be using this tapered blending brush. This is also from Sigma. This is the E40 brush. I'm gonna go back in with that bronzer that we used earlier. So I used to use more of a dense brush with contouring my nose, but I really shifted to using something a little bit more fluffy because I find that it just looks a little bit more softer, a little bit more natural, makes the catfish more realistic. So we're just gonna take this and run this on the sides of our nose. Now, the reason that I like to use the bronzer that I used on my cheeks is because I find that it just looks more like cohesive, more monochromatic, everything just kind of like, you know, it's like the same tones, like the tones on tones, so it just looks better. To me, it does. Gonna also add a little bit on the tip of my nose. All right, so I feel good about the way my nose is looking. Before we highlight, I'm gonna go back in and just kind of blend out these harsh lines. I'm gonna go back in with that small contour brush from Sigma, and we're just gonna kind of lightly just buff out those harsh lines. I'm literally just gonna go over where that line is and just kind of start to really smooth and kind of soften her up. All right, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. We're gonna move on to a little bit of highlights. Now, this is also the part where I feel like everything just kind of comes all together, because when we think about highlighting and contouring, we're sculpting, we're creating shadows, but with highlights are really, really light reflecting. So it's really gonna give us that nice contrast, and it's what's really gonna make certain parts of our face pop even more. So this is something that you wanna apply wherever you want certain points of your face to stand out, which is typically like the high points of your cheeks. For my highlight today, I'm gonna be going in with my brand new Diamond Luxe Luminizer. I'm gonna go in with the shade Sexposé. She looks like this. I've been going to town on her. Shameless plug, she is now available at Sephora across the country and Canada, or you can get her on my website, artistcouture.com. To apply my highlight, I'm gonna be going in with this tapered brush. Now, before I apply my highlight, I'm just gonna lightly give my face a little spritz with this Fix Plus, just a little bit. I'm gonna dip into my product with my brush. I love these so much, you guys, so much. And I'm just lightly gonna start to buff and blend this on the high points of my cheeks. I know you guys see that. But what I really want you guys to pay attention to, besides how amazingly blinding I look, is the way that it really creates that contrast between my contour and my highlight. It just really gives my face a lot of dimension, a lot of structure for what? Ultimate catfish. Gonna do the same thing on the other cheek. By the way, shout out to Impressions Vanity. They make like some of the best mirrors, and this handheld one is just giving me my life. All right, I think we're blending enough. Last but not least, the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight the bridge of my nose to just really, really make that nose look nice and pinched, nice and contoured, nice and... I'm gonna go in with a little tiny baby brush, and I'm just gonna run this down the bridge of my nose really softly. And I'm also going to apply this right on the tip of my nose as well to give her a nice little pinch. And normally I go back in with a big fluffy brush like the one that I've been using, just to kind of, you know, make everything look nice and smooth, nice and blended and married into each other. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I'm gonna go in with this brow gel from Lancome. This is the Brow Styler Brow Gel. This is in the shade number 3. I love it because it's literally like a little tiny baby comb. So I like to just kind of like brush through my brows just to give her a little body. And it just really locks them into place. So obviously, after you're done with like your complexion, your skin, your highlight, your contour, you can move on to create any eye look that you want, pop on some lashes, pop on a lip color. But I just really wanted to focus on complexion and the products that I use, some tips and some tricks on how I perfect my skin and how I create the ultimate catfish. I don't know why I call it a catfish, but I mean, the before and after is real, let's be honest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know how you guys feel about this look. Let me know what else you guys want to see. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all that jazz. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.